All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Open Live Q&A. This is week number 123, and my name is Mr. McLogan, and I'm so excited for you guys to join on another live stream where I basically go ahead and answer your questions that you guys go ahead and submit into me. So I do take some questions from on the chat, so feel free to always write into there. They are going right up in front of my screen, so I will try to take as many questions as I can. And then for all of the math questions, I'd highly recommend that you could just go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. And therefore, that allows me to kind of get a visual of the problem, and therefore I can post it. So I do have a couple questions that were pre-submitted that I will kind of go through first. We'll probably get into those like in around like 15, 20 minutes after I kind of say hi to all of you guys out on the chat, like Raptors AJ and Curious George and Sarah. Good to have all of you guys on. But yeah, so if you guys do have any math questions, I know some of you guys still have like exams coming up this week and next week, and maybe the week after that. And then some of you are done, so you might just be hanging, joining on the live stream just to say hi, or be like, "Whoo, don't have to do this anymore." So, or at least for the end of the year, and or maybe you graduated. Who knows? Whatever may be the case. And here, good to have you on. And Kirsch, Ms. Glenn, can you explain how to do regression? No, I do not actually know many things to do on a Casio. We mostly just use TIs in my school, and then there's always be a student that would have a Casio, and I'd spend time on it, but I never really spent like too much time, getting into them. So, but if you guys do have any math questions, feel free to go there. And then also, if you have not joined the Discord server, highly recommend go ahead and checking that out. You guys can answer questions, anything you're working on if you're taking summer classes or just want to kind of connect with those students that are kind of going through different math courses. You can obviously utilize them just like you utilize me to get help with your math. And then also you can kind of give back as well. So if you have some, if you're able to help other students with your math, trust me, I cannot say this as much. I tutored all through college, and that was definitely what made, one of the biggest things that made me a better student was being able to help other people. Because when you have to explain, something, it really kind of challenges your understanding of the content. And so it's really, really helpful to be able to help other students there. So if you have not already checked the Discord server, I would highly recommend go ahead and take a look. So all those links up there. They're also in the description, and I also pin them in the chat for you. For some reason, sometimes the direct chat or direct link doesn't work, and I'm not really sure why. But yeah, it's you guys can have to just type it in and go in there from there. So I was a high school teacher. I taught high school for 14 years. So I taught high school for 14 years, and I stepped away this past year, which is I can't even believe this is my first year that I am not in the classroom. It's weird. And it flew by. And I will tell you, I had so many big goals that I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. I have so much time now. I'm going to go and do this, and I'm not teaching. And it was probably one of the more difficult years that I had, just because, I think obviously having our third daughter and kind of raising that and kids getting older and kind of being more involved that way, which is one of the big reasons why I stepped away from the classroom to have more time for that. And I think just also, kind of the dealing with, kind of doing content that I did for 14, or 10 years on my YouTube channel, and then now having to create content in here. Right. And it's a completely different dynamic, kind of running a channel from either in your classroom to now running it kind of in here. And so, yeah, it's been kind of difficult. It's definitely been some ups and some downs going through there, but I am happy to announce that in the next couple of weeks, I will have a website refresh. So brianmclogan.com will be refreshed, as well as freemathvideos.com will be refreshed. And then what else? I'll be continually making some content, and I'm not going to release it yet. But I've talked about that, but I'll keep those down for regular live streams. But I do have some other things I'm going to go through on the live streams. And Arof, yeah, I mean, you can submit one. I mean, I'll look at it, but more likely than not, I am not going to actually do a word problem. It just takes too long to kind of work through it. And I can't remember what course you're in, but I do, if it's a very basic word problem, I might be able to do it just for like time's sake. But a lot of times if it's just me reading a problem and setting it up and breaking it down, sometimes word problems can take, 10, 15, 20 minutes of like explanation and doing them. And then also just during the live stream, I have to like conceptually understand, go through everything. So sometimes it can just be a lot. So yeah, I prefer not to be doing word problems or just any kind of problem that has like, multiple steps. I usually am not going to do all those. So, but if you guys do have any questions, feel free to always submit them. I mean, I'm always happy to go and take a look. We're going to do the problems that were pre-submitted first. And then if there's any other additional questions, I will happy to get to those. It can be, it really, I think it really kind of depends on where you're kind of at before Algebra 2. It's definitely a big thing. And thank you so much. I appreciate that. Neho, no. Okay. Well, I guess Algebra 2. Okay. All right. Well, we'll go from there. But yeah, so this is, as far as like wrapping up the year, it was kind of like a little surreal. I'm like, God, I don't even know. Like I had to look up my graduation, like when, students in my school were like graduating. Cause I didn't even know. It was just like this weird, I wasn't part of like the system, anymore. So it was just definitely like a really weird feeling, in that regard and stuff like that. So, but, anyways, I'm definitely, I did miss the boat on a lot of things I wanted to do, with either my courses and, creating some content for you guys. Definitely wanted to revamp a lot more content that I just did not get to. So, I could say, I guess I do apologize for that, but it's like, hey, this is, I don't want to be, just like I think I tell a lot of students is, I don't want you to be too hard on yourself. Like, there's going to be things that, are not going to go the way you want to. You're going to take tests that you're not going to do as well as you expected, or you thought you were going to do. Right. And you just got to adjust. You just got to kind of, take a step back, reflect, and kind of realize what are some things that you need to change. What are some things that kind of happened, and then get better at it. I mean, I think that's like life in a nutshell. And I think a lot of times students have this difficulty, in math classes, like if they fail at the beginning of the year or they fail a test or whatever else, they're like, oh, I'm doomed. Like I'm never going to do well in this class. Right. Or, I'm not going to be able to pass this, pass this course. And it's completely untrue. Right. This year was very difficult. It was very difficult for me to create content that I wanted to enjoy, or content that I felt was as successful as it could have been. But my viewpoint is like, hey, I just got to get better at doing things. I got to get better at doing my own systems. And that's what I would challenge all of you. If you didn't do well enough in a class that you were expecting or wanted to, well, then, spend some of that time. I mean, take a break over summer, please take a break over summer, but, sit back and adjust and look back in for next year. I mean, that's the best thing about, I think, at least the school system is you can, it's kind of, you get an opportunity to a lot of times improve, or go back through and see if you can do, better. And it might not be just taking back at the same class, but being able to, go back in and like prove to yourself that, hey, I can learn this subject, right? I can do better than what I did, last year. Maybe, these last 2 years, with extra circumstances was difficult, right? So, trying to overcome all that is a lot. So, hopefully, knock on wood, cross our fingers that next year will be at least not as many distractions, but you never know, guys. You never know. I have 11 days left. Oh, 11 days left. Wow. That's crazy. Everyone tells me it's going to be easy. I had algebra online, so I didn't learn anything. Yeah. I think taking any math class online is just difficult. I offer like a course online as well. And it's just a lot of content. I think I would struggle very much with learning math online. But I think there's definitely some very positives with learning math online or delivering math online. It's not going away, but I think for a lot of students, being able to see something more often and kind of in person is going to be very beneficial for them. I would say more likely geometry is more difficult for students just because we have a little bit more time at pre-algebra, algebra 1, that it kind of rolls in for algebra 2, where a lot of times, at least how geometry I've seen been structured is just kind of is like out of left field and deals with some completely different thinking that students are not, a lot of times, not used to or ready for when they get into that course. Yes. And I will say, like, I'm going to actually be coming out a video in the next couple of weeks talking about kind of like my journey in high school and college. And that's exactly it. One of the main things that made me better at math was changing my habits, changing the way that I approached math. It wasn't like I got smarter or better at math. I just changed the way that I approached it. And, that comes down to like, yeah, I didn't fail a math course, but I got D's in math, right? I failed tests in math. Those are not cool things. Those are not fun to accept, right? But, I could have just given up and said, hey, I'm not a math person. And you know what? Nobody would probably bat an eye. You guys would all probably say, oh yeah, you failed the test. Yeah, you're probably just not good at math. That's okay, right? Some people just aren't good at math. Like, it's so acceptable. But thankfully I chose not to accept that narrative. And I decided to like, hey, I'm going to get better at this and see what I can do. And obviously that's where I am today, So, don't feel you have to accept a certain circumstance, where you're at. Well, you're very welcome, Marco. Unfortunately, I do not have much on with programming. Yes, Autumn, if you just want to go ahead and go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A, hopefully I should have time with reference angles from on there. I definitely can do as well, Nathan. It's a lot easier if you can just like submit a picture or at least of a problem that you want me to do. I can always make up problems, same kind of like with Autumn, like I can talk about reference angles, but I don't like a lot. The reason why I have the brianmclogan.com/Q&A for you guys to submit questions is I don't like doing a lot of questions from the chat because it's very difficult to understand the context. As a teacher, I want to know where you're struggling with, why you're struggling with certain things. And so either to be able to see a problem or to be able to like, on the Google form, you can write in like some comments so I can kind of just get a better idea of why you're not able to do the problem or where you're getting stuck. And so it really helps me as a teacher give a better explanation. So if you guys can submit any math questions over there, I would greatly appreciate it. This definitely, for sure. I did a live stream, which I'm actually going to redo I did a live stream on this. So if you want to look back on that live stream, I did talk about some of my tips. I don't remember all of them that I went over. I will be making a video on that, for you, or I will be making a video, but I don't know when it's going to come out. And, but I think one of the things that I would recommend doing, at least one thing off the top of my head, is like, just write them all down. Write down all the formulas on a sheet of paper and, kind of review that paper every single day. So if you can fit all the formulas on a sheet of paper, fit that all on a sheet of paper and then just look at it every night. I always tell my students like, it's a joke, but I used to be like, write all the formulas in like dry erase marker, right? Of course, some teachers still have that. Like write it on your mirror, right? So hopefully maybe you don't share a mirror. So, you go to bed, like you have formulas on your mirror. So when you're brushing your teeth, right, in the morning and at night, you're literally looking at formulas. All these formulas are written on your mirror. I mean, just the fact of you looking at them over and over and just kind of reading them, like it's going to help you memorize. Now, is that a great memory tool for like long-term memory? No, but it's like, those are some things that can help you. I think the more often that you see, and more importantly, the more often you use the formulas, the more likely you're going to remember them. So I actually more emphasize the former, where I really want students to be practicing the formulas. I don't really like students memorizing formulas. I didn't require any of my students to memorize them. I gave them their cheat sheet and I said, hey, here they are, or I wrote them on the board. But I really did also make sure we did an attempt if we practiced the formulas. Anything that I needed them to know or wanted them to know, we made sure we did multiple practice examples. So therefore they could easily recall it, or at least that was my goal, for them to easily recall it. Where was that question I was looking at? Oh, that's where I like lost all of them. Oh, can you go? It's kind of difficult to really kind of go through those of geometry on a live stream. But if you want to, again, submit a question or specific questions you have, I'm more than happy to go and take a look at that. Well, you're very welcome, Angelic. Awesome. Yes, I would definitely say anything, CBA, I think is awesome. It really kind of depends on what you're trying to achieve and stuff like that. But I definitely think and everything's everything's relative, right? You can get an A by having a really easy teacher that didn't really challenge you with the information. You can get a C with a really difficult teacher that that was really challenging with the content, right? So I think everything's relative, but I think I think in the most part, anything from like C to A is going to be good. And just recognize though, if you anything low, like even with any one of those, there still could be some missing content that that you need to make sure you have for the upcoming year. I did algebra 2 this year and I'm struggling now and I dislike my teacher. So I feel like everything she said doesn't click with me. Yeah, it's very difficult. I know. I mean, I taught a lot of students with Algebra 2 last year. And thank you so much, KB, for the super chat. I greatly appreciate that. I keep on seeing it on this. I don't know why it's going on my left and hasn't come over to my chat in the middle yet, but thank you so much. And Silent 9, thank you so much. Do you have anything in physics? I'm so sorry. I do not have any physics content, but I really appreciate your super chat. And I hope at least, I mean, I do have some of my videos are from use like calc-based physics, or from pre-calculus, we'll do like, some velocity and acceleration problems, but that's really about it. We don't get into anything beyond, anything beyond like those kind of particle motion problems. But thank you so much for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, I think getting in with your, teacher is like motivated. Like, I think you just got to look at it like the end of the year. I mean, look at it in slower things. Like you got to get through the class, right? You got to be able to get the content that you need. Trying to move on and like just try to look at, shorten. We only have so much time left, and so maybe kind of look at those kind of shorter time frames, and hopefully that can kind of give you a little bit of motivation. That I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say it's fun. I'm not going to say it's going to be something you're definitely just going to be automatically motivated for, but hopefully those are some little things that can just kind of help you get over the edge. Yeah, I can definitely agree. Yeah, and enjoy yourself on summer. Really do. I am a huge proponent of you guys enjoying the summer and then coming back and putting in the work. I know some of you guys are taking summer classes. That's awesome. I know some of you guys are taking like year-round schooling. That's awesome. But I think there's definitely, whenever you guys have a break, take advantage of the break. And even at that summer class, like if you have a couple weeks, like just enjoy yourself. I think there's something to be said about being kids or enjoying the time that you have, and just giving your brain a break. But when it is time to school, like putting in that work and stuff like that. Why is it not coming through? Oh, there's KB. Well, thank you so much, KB. Pair character doing a shake a sign with his hand. Cool. Well, thank you so much again for your super chat. I'm like way behind for this. Paper 2. Oh, your IB exam. Yeah, I didn't teach any. I never taught IB from on there, so I'm not aware of the exam or anything like that. And given the physics, well, Silent, I gotta support you. Thank you so much for the super chat. I love it. Silent in his Discord, there's tutors that can help with physics. Oh, Silent. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much, Chrissy, for a little. Yes, that is again, not only in with Discord, but I was like Silent in the Discord. But yeah, and also with any of your guys' math too. Like if I'm able to get to your guys' questions, let's see. Was there any questions that got in there? Oh, got a couple more questions. 3 more questions. Awesome. I'll go and take a look at those after we do from these. And Nathan, thank you so much for a super chat. On Rain Confetti and taking us hat off. You're amazing. Well, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you giving the super chat, and it really does mean a lot to me that you guys are showing your support. Because yeah, this basically this is my living now, is off of like YouTube. So it kind of comes into making content that you guys can enjoy, that is going to help you guys with your math, and really want to kind of keep on creating content that's going to help students as they are entering in through the early maths into more advanced maths, and then also help you guys with your exams, helping you just become better math students. And yeah, all of your support is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you. How important is Algebra 1 for the rest of the year, and especially geometry and trig? I don't know. I'm a freshman. I need Algebra 1 this year. I'm a freshman. I'm not sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're planning on taking a lot of other courses, then yeah, I mean, algebra one's going to be pretty particular. I would be more concerned with you just taking your time understanding the content than really kind of trying to get through the course or worrying about what your grade is. Like, just, try to do your best and understand the content, but don't just try to, do game the system just to get a good grade. Move on. You're really going to want to make sure you understand the stuff. Oh, well, awesome. I'm so happy. That's great. And especially like going back and like editing my videos, I always think it's cool when people, have watched a video and it's not for them. It might be they're just helping somebody, or or they haven't seen math in so long, and or like they're going back to school or whatever may be the case. And I love the fact, because I think it's like has to be something like extremely difficult to kind of like put yourself back into those shoes of like that learning and like learning this content and like going back, and then to have something like that click, um, or to like to understand it and to be like, maybe it's something you forgot, or maybe it's something you haven't done in forever, or maybe it's something maybe you never learned. And I always think that's it. It validates some things for me, because I think a lot of times people just feel like, oh, if I wasn't good at math then, like I'm never going to understand math now. And I really love seeing, hearing from people like, oh, I'm going back to school and I'm relearning math, or like I'm helping my son, daughter, grandchildren, whatever may be the case. And then I'm like, oh, I'm actually enjoying this. Like I actually understand this. And I'm like, yes, like math does not have a timeline. Unfortunately unfortunately we teach math like in these, throughout the year, and like college and university, and, primary school and high school, whatever may be the case. They have these deadlines, but in reality, you have your whole life to be continuing your education, and not just in math, but in anything. So I love the fact that, just, people seeing something that they maybe thought math was something that they were not good at or they didn't like, and then kind of like reconnecting with it. I have no idea if that's anything you're responding to, but it just kind of got me off on a tangent of thinking KB. Awesome. Good for you. Yeah, I mean, go into the next course. I think that's awesome. Least favorite subject was probably like biology. I did not like biology. I did not like just like memorizing a lot of the stuff that didn't excite me. Hey, Rana, how are you? Do you think it's worth taking summer school, which involves work, which sometimes defeats the enjoyment of summer? I think it just depends on what you need to do. To be honest, I never took a summer course. I always like worked, and I always, in my opinion, I think it's really easy to like burn yourself out. So I think some people need to kind of be in summer school for one, like their brain just like needs to keep on going. They don't need to, they don't like, it's not good for them to take a break, or they need to like catch up, or they need reinforcement. So I'm not against summer school. But I also think there's a lot of students that they might think they need summer school, but in reality, the best thing they need is like rest. They need to give their brain a break, and they need to enjoy summer and, be a kid. And so that was the route I always kind of took. I mean, I always just liked working. And my brain though, like needed a break from doing math and learning. So, that was kind of the reason why I never took it. Cause I did start late in my math career. So I probably should have taken the summer class to like catch back up, but I just never decided it was right for me. So you just got to remember, anything you're taking over summer is going to be condensed. It's going to be fast. And yeah, it's going to impact your summer, so if you don't have a whole lot going on, and you're not planning on like working or like doing a lot of trips, or like, kind of works around with your schedule with friends. Like, I mean, if you want it, go for it. But if it's something you feel like, you only have so many summers, together, and, if it's not something that's urgent, in my opinion, I wouldn't press it unless you feel like you have to, or you need to. I did teach when my first year of teaching, I taught a peer counseling course, which was very awkward. It wasn't it was like a sociology kind of course. It was really weird, especially for a first year teacher, because we talked about a lot of sensitive topics that probably this day and age we would not talk about, or definitely, at least as a first year teacher, I would definitely not bring up. But yeah, it was like peer counseling. I was like, regarded as like a counselor, and I was, 23 years old, and it was like a mixed class with like freshmen through seniors. It was a crazy class. But yeah, besides that, I mean, my certification's only in math. So, all right, I got to get caught up. Sub equations, I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, just put in the work. I mean, I don't think there's any better test than like for any math class is like, make sure you get with the teacher, make sure you know exactly what's expected of you, and go for it. If a student's motto is to grasp what he understands and deviate from what he doesn't, I mean, not necessarily, but you got to understand when you're taking a math course or like any course, like a lot of times the content is geared to like help prepare you for the next level. So I'm not like all of a sudden like completely against that motto, but I think you got to be very careful. We just don't want to like focus on things you understand and like don't focus on other content. That could come back to kind of bite you on there. I mean, yes, I do think you should lean into your strengths more than trying to like fix your weaknesses. But when you're trying to learn some content where we need, like we also, I don't think that is a direct relation to that for like in like learning math in regard. So yeah, I think in general, like you should lean into your strengths and not try to always fix so many of your weaknesses. But when you're trying to learn content, I don't think that is a direct relationship. Not so much screaming. I'm a pretty calm guy, but yeah, I mean, I've definitely been called every name in the book. Definitely had things thrown at me. Never been punched. I mean, definitely got very upset with some students, but never really like yelled or screamed. I mean, pretty laid back. Yes, I did play football. I played football, high school. In high school, I played high school baseball, wrestling, and football. And then once I was in college, and then after college, I played rugby. So if you ever look in some of those videos, you see my face is all beat up or was on crutches, like that was rugby. Well, awesome, Noah. I was happy to help you out. Yes, you definitely need to prepare for geometry. And I went like overdo it on the preparing. I think you just need to go back and just review a lot of like algebra 1. One of the big problems I see with students with geometry is either they don't remember like the formulas and everything else from on there, that they get throughout the year, which I mean, you can't really prepare for that. I mean, you could, but I wouldn't say to focus on that. And then the other one is they messed up on a lot of the algebraic stuff that we do in geometry. So I would definitely kind of just review that, solving equations, solving proportions and stuff like that, just to make sure you have a good foundation of that and you feel comfortable. I think you'll be okay. I'm trying to do more with active recall and crowdsourcing knowledge. Yeah, I definitely get with those students, get a study group, get a studying team, for sure. Thank you. Did you like being a student at school? Kind of. I mean, maybe not really. I don't know. I mean, I guess I enjoyed like my friends and the stuff I did, right? I don't really think I didn't enjoy my classes, so much. I wasn't like I mean, I guess overall I enjoyed school, and being a student, but I wasn't like a very studious person. Yes, I'm doing math over summer. I'm making videos every single day. So I've been doing that for 10 years now. I used to go inside my classroom and make videos. And yeah, I'll be making videos. That's what I do now, guys. I mean, yeah, it's cool. Dan says, hey, I currently have an 83 average in math right now, and I have about 3 tests in there, not including 100. I'm about to get into. You think I have absolutely no idea. Because I don't know what your teacher exempt is or where your tests. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would definitely just recommend checking in with your teacher and see where you're at. Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, I'm still teaching, but I'm just not teaching inside the classroom. Exactly how you wrote it. I would just practice going through, same thing. Like, I mean, I would just SOHCAHTOA, right? But remember it's TOA, so TOA. So please remember that. And then and it's CAHTOA, so CAH. But So ka, to, a. And I just practice going through 6 trigonometric functions. Just keep on writing them out. Like do like 6 problems. And I think after you do 6 problems, you'll feel pretty comfortable with them. All right. Have a good night, Christy. Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, I can I gotta go back through a lot of my stuff. So I'll be definitely get into some of those. The highest math I taught was calculus. Calc 1, like AB calculus. Actually, yes, George. Graph theory was by far my favorite math course that I ever took. I just like absolutely loved it. I looked forward to showing up to class every single day, and it just opened up my eyes of like math being like all over the world and like how useful it could be. So, yeah, I loved graph theory. It was by far my favorite like math class I can remember. Some of them on TikTok. That's really about it. I kind of like it was very like emotional for me to step away from the classroom, because that's but definitely some of the students would definitely some of the students still connected, or at least, they'll connect on like Facebook or sometimes show up on the chat or on TikTok, say hi and stuff like that. Well, awesome, Gabriella. So happy to help. It just depends on when those questions are being asked. And, I'm always very, very, yes, thank you, Gabriella. I guess I must have hit that. I am very empathetic to the student asked questions because that was like me. Right. So usually a lot of times will always make sure I'm always taking the time, like slowing down and like explaining, take a question, to understand to like help teach students. However, also as a teacher, there's limited time, right? 60 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever may be the case. And then sometimes, yeah, like questions when I feel like in a rush, I might feel like I'm like trying to get something done. And then like questions, maybe, sometimes they'll just get me at the bad moment, and sometimes it can be frustrating where I'm like, maybe it might be something I've already taught, or maybe something I would expect the student to should have already known, at the point or maybe, usually the only time I got, I think, annoyed would have been a lot of times either if the student was not paying attention when I know I like covered the content, like they were talking or looking on their phone and then they asked the question and, I get annoyed. Or yeah, sometimes if I'm like trying to just get through something because I need to like make sure the content has been distributed. And multiple questions are just kind of like slowing me down. But, like when you think about it in like hindsight, like, hey, if you have questions, like that means like not only that, but like more than one student have that same question, So, as a teacher, you got to react to that and realize that, hey, student, this stuff is not connecting, with the students, right? So yeah, I would say overall, majority of the time, I would not be upset when students or not annoyed when students ask questions, but yeah, there's definitely circumstances you can watch videos that, you'll definitely see me like get annoyed from questions and stuff like that. About transferring, I feel good about all the transfer. I was just wondering, what should I do day before the test? I would just review, I would create a cheat sheet on Tuesday. So, well, you might not have any time, but if you kind of like create a cheat sheet, like go through all their formulas, all through like maybe write down some problems, go through that cheat sheet and, just kind of review it. And, maybe just review some problems. You're not going to crank, there's really very limited that you can do the night before the test. I think just getting a good night's rest, relax, trying to breathe, avoid as much anxiety that's going through your system is going to be probably the best that you can do, at that point. I don't think you're going to, really move mountains by doing some cramming studying, I mean, obviously go back, review all content again, spend some time, but, up to this point, it's up to this point, you basically know what you know, and it's just going to come into more of you being to execute than you trying to like cram in some more information. No, I'm not retired. I'm still teaching, just not in the classroom. All right, I got to get into some math. Well, you're very welcome. Awesome. I don't. I mean, just the exact same way you did for the other ones. I mean, I don't think there's anything else for sequence and series that's going to be different. Awesome. Good. Congrats. No, I mean, you can struggle in geometry and do perfectly fine in algebra 2. So I would just kind of base your decision based on how you start doing in algebra 2. But I would start reviewing, some algebra, a lot of the algebra in preparation for algebra 2. So definitely get prepared for that. But yeah, I wouldn't say just because you struggled in one class, you're definitely going to struggle in the next. Yes, I have considered. I just haven't had the time, but I am looking into getting into that. Well, don't review it, like practice, right? And I mean, I think your original question, you're right. You can't review things. Just reviewing it's not going to like make you remember things. Practice it. Practice problems. Just review your content and, relax and do the best you can do. Don't overthink it. You got this. You're good. I did not do any co-op in there. Should we say if you do well, we get a chance to break out? Yeah, absolutely. Like I had students that got C's in algebra 2 and algebra 2 standard, and they were able to pass my pre-co. They struggled, but they were able to pass, right? So I was able to get them through. And if they're willing to put in the work, you can do it. So I don't say you have to get an A in algebra 2 honors to be successful in pre-calc. You can do it. You just got to put in the work. No, but I think if you're taking Calc 3 as a freshman, I think you've kind of figured out some good ways to, be successful in mathematics. So wish you the best of luck and congrats. That's awesome. I think you got to do your math a little bit more closer to after you do the question. I think there's very common that we kind of forget what we learned. So just make sure you're trying to write down as much stuff as possible. And then try to do your work very close to after you're done, very close after you take your class. Well, thank you very much. Mokunin TV channel. Awesome. So happy to have you on. Is it unfair for honor students to take their finals? I don't really know why it would be unfair 1 week before the students. I'd have to know kind of more context why students are taking it a week before the other students. All right, I'm going to see if my thing. Haha, it's charging now. Cool. All right, sweet. Okay, guys, I need to get into some of the math. So we're going to go and start with the questions that were pre-submitted. And then for those of you that still have a question, you guys can go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A, or you can go check out the Discord, whatever is working for you. Otherwise, guys, I am going to go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to take these down and get right into the chat. All right. Cool. All right, so this is actually a word problem, which I usually don't do, but it was a very just kind of basic word problem. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll like cover one of these. All right, so it says John downloads music to his iPhone using a site that charges $12.95 per month and 45 cents per song. He finds another site that charges $8.99 per month and $0.95 per song. He downloads. After how many songs will the cost of both sites be the same? Okay, so whenever a word problem, and main thing we got to do is we got to create some variables, right? Define our variables, and then we got to create an equation. So it says after how many songs. So I feel like I can make a variable of that. So S is equal to the number of songs. And then it says, will the cost of both sites be the same? So will the cost? So we're looking for the cost, right? We want to know how many songs is going to make the cost the same. So let's say C is equal to the cost. Okay, so I have the number of songs. It's a variable. We don't know how many songs that are going to be downloaded. And we also have a cost, right? So depending on how many songs are downloaded, there's going to be a cost. So let's go and see if we can write an equation for the first example. So John downloads music and actually, so it's $12.95 per month, and he finds a site. Well, that's kind of annoying. After how many songs will the cost be on both sites be the same? Well, now we got to do, and that's going to be per month. I didn't even read this from this. After how many songs will the cost be the same? So this is kind of confusing because you have a per month and you have a per song. So, so now we have 3 variables, technically, right? So I'm not really in love with this word problem, unless I'm reading it incorrectly. And so there's a couple different ways we could look at this. We could say, after how many songs will the cost be the same in a month, right? And maybe I'll just do it that way, in the first month. Because basically you have 2 variables. Like you could download, right? How many songs will the cost be the same? Well, how many months? Like what if you only download 1 song and then you go like, 5 months, right? With only downloading 1 song. And then this person downloads like 100 songs. So, and then only does it in 1 month. So it's kind of like there's 2 different variables. So I'm going to say, how about it in the first month? So therefore this is going to be a flat fee. So let's just kind of do the first one. So C is going to equal, so you're going to spend in this first month, you're going to spell $12.95, and then you're going to add a 0.45 times the number of songs, which is going to be an S, which I'm going to put in parentheses so I don't confuse it with the 5. And then the other one is going to be a $8.99 plus a 0.95 S. Okay. Now notice that both these equations are going to be equal to C. So therefore I can set them equal to each other, right? I can say C is equal to this. So I can say 8.99 plus 0.95 S is equal to 12.95 plus 0.5 S. That's an S. Okay. So now let's just go ahead and solve. So I'll just subtract a 0.45 S point S, and then I'll subtract a 0.899 or subtract a 8.99, and that is going to be a 50 S is equal to, I don't want to do math in my head, so 12, because I don't want to make a mistake, and then everybody will be like, hey, you subtracted that wrong. I'll be like, yes, 396. Okay, so it's going to be 3.96. Oh, that's 0.5. And then divide by 0.5. Divide by 0.5, and S is going to equal, so divide by 0.5 is the same thing as multiplying by 2, which again, I don't know, 3.96 times 2 is 7.92. So S is equal to 7.92, so roughly almost, well actually, looks like it's going to have to be 8 songs. So then we'll say because you can't really do like 7.92 songs, right? Take 8 songs for the cost to be the same. Roughly, right? So there, and yes, it is possible. You just can't take the square root of a negative number, but that doesn't mean just because there's a square root in the radical that your radicand is going to be negative. All right. And yeah, guys, if you still have questions, you guys can definitely go and still submit them to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. In which should have probably, in which quadrant is 125 pi divided by 6? Okay, so what you need to understand about this is, okay, all the way around a circle is 2 pi, right? Which is equal to a 12 pi over 6. Well, if I go all the way around a circle again, right, that'd be a 4 pi, right? So if I go all the way around and then I go all the way around again, then that's the same thing as a 4 pi over 6 is the same thing as a 24 pi over 6. Right? And again, I want you to know, like, I'm still at the same spot that I started, right? When I go all the way around a circle, I'm still back where I started. So it doesn't matter how many revolutions you go. Like, if I do 4 revolutions, 10 revolutions, 100 revolutions, 1,000 revolutions, I'm still going to return back to where I started, right? So when we want to know which quadrant 125 pi over 6 is, we first want to do is eliminate all of the revolutions. So how many times, like, how many revolutions can I basically go here? Well, I want you to recognize this. Like, I can rewrite 125 pi over 6 is the same thing as 120 is 120. How is this going to be? How am I going to write this? Pi over 6 plus a 5. No. 120. Crap. Not my explanations. I'm getting brain tired. That is going to be, yeah. Yes, 5 pi over 6. I'm trying to get sorry, my brain is not working correctly right now. Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. So this is going to be 120 pi over 6 plus 5 pi over 6, right? Is 125 pi over 6. Well, this is just going to be like, again, like, think about this. Like, 6 goes to 120, what? 20 times, right? Well, if you went around, that's 20 pi times. Like, 20 pi, wouldn't you agree, is going to be just 20 or 10 revolutions, right? Wasn't 20 pi is equal to 10 revolutions? Like, this was 1 revolution. This was 2 revolutions. What would 20 pi be? It would be 10 revolutions, right? So therefore, we don't really care about that. That's just extra. That's just going around the circle 10 times. So then you're just left with 5 pi over 6. Well, where's 5 pi over 6? Well, if all the way around the circle was 12 pi over 6, right? So, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 5 pi over 6 is right there. And again, I didn't do a great triangle, but there you go. It's in quadrant 2. Just do some review, but get a good night's rest and breathe. You know, I mean, that's about the best you can do at this point. You're going to have a lot of anxiety, right? And you're going to be very stressed. So just try to relax. All right. In this example, it says, draw the graph. So we have this point, which is at 0, 3. And then we have this point, which is at 4, 0. So to write the equation of line, all you need is 2 points, okay? And the main important point, first point, so y equals mx plus b is the most famous way to write a line. It doesn't say, given the value of, so the student, I think, was just asking to write a line. So there's many different ways we can write an equation of a line. I'm just going to do it this way. So we have y-intercept is going to be, right, 3, because there it is right there, and that's where it crosses. Okay, and then we have a coordinate point, right? So we could say that's x and that's y. So I could say 0 equals m, which we don't have no idea. That's the slope, right? So this looks like the student was trying to find a little slope triangle, but they couldn't really find any 2 points. You could do it this way, though. I could say from here to here is going to be down -3. And then from here to here is going to be 4. But I'll do that next, okay? So you could do the point method, which is just be plugging in a point, and then go ahead and solve for m, right? So you subtract a 3 equals a 4m. Right? And then divide by 4, m equals a -3/4, right? So then you could say y equals a -3/4 m, then plus 3. Now, again, another way you could look at this is just saying, hey, that's my b, and m is equal to a -3/4, right? To go from any 2 points, like, you know, what is the change in the rise or run? So it's down 3/4. And so you could just plug it in from right there as well. All right, that is the questions that were submitted. So I'm going to now, holy crap, 10 questions. What are you guys trying to do to me? So let's go and see what questions. I'm not going to be able to get to every question, guys. I'm not a math genius. Um, oh, wow. I've almost received 1 GB of settings. That's crazy. Somebody must have sent something in. No, they're all PNGs. I don't get it. Okay. Whatever. All right, let's go and see what questions you guys got. I guess I got to stop talking. You guys give me all these questions. But anyways, guys, I'm not going to be able to get to everybody's question, or at least to be able to give I'm not a math genius, first of all. And also a lot of times I'm not going to be able to unless I feel like I can provide a good explanation. Sometimes I just won't cover the same content for you. Okay. An identity question, but I'll try to do my best. Is to be the left hand. The expression is to be the left hand side of the equation. That is an identity. Okay, which of the following four? Oh, okay. So I guess it's just. We'll go and take a look at it. I'll see what I can do. I'll give it a shot, I guess. Identities can sometimes be very tricky and can take a long time, so I don't really like doing a lot of them, but we'll see. Learn algebra is getting close to the end of the year. I do have math exams, if possible, the question maybe on one test. Yeah, Michael, I have no idea what your question. Are you supposed to be factoring it? Maybe that's the only thing I can think about. As far as on your question, let me know about that. I see you had said you had no way to solve it, but I don't see an equation, so I'm not sure what you're actually trying to do with this problem. Maybe just write it in factored form. So let me know about that, but I'll try to do it. All right. And again, by the way, guys, I delete them after I upload them. And my teacher always goes over the same problem and gives us about a ton of. Could solve these. I'll see what I can do. I'm going to go through these much quicker, guys. Complex fractions. All right. So I'm going to go through these a little bit quicker than the ones I did before that were pre-submitted, because I always recommend that you guys go ahead and pre-submit. I always recommend that you guys pre-submit, because then that gives me time to get them prepared. Like, so if you guys notice, one of the reasons why, like, what do I do why do I go live and have like 10 minutes, ahead of time before I go live? That's me basically looking at the questions and putting them on. So that's like one of the things I do for those 10 minutes. But also just live, I much rather do that now or then than like do it in the live stream, right? Which to me, this is kind of like boring to like go through all of this. Use discriminant to classify the number of roots. Do not. Okay. So you just need to find the discriminant. Okay. Because, now we got to wait for me to go through all these questions, and I know you guys have exams, so I want to help you guys out as much as possible. So that's why I'm going to try to do a little bit extra. Sometimes at the beginning of the year, I'm like, guys, I'll be back. Don't worry. But now I know some of you guys might have exams this week. So I'm kind of a little cognizant of that as well. All right. I don't know. Question. What do I do? Just got to study. I mean, you guys got exams coming up last minute. I mean, study, relax. I think one of the main things is just being able to address the anxiety and the stress, right? All right. So many. Well, hey, Nelson, thank you so much. Okay, I'm just gonna solve that question because oh, what was your? You had like way too many. Oh, come on. What do you do? Yeah, we'll try to go through some of these. I'm not going to get through all of them, but we'll see what I can do. All right. Sorry, I got to get through. Well, happy to help, Nightshade. You're welcome. Domain and range of log base sine of x. I would use a calculator. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the range. I mean, the domain is going to be all positive numbers, but I don't have no idea what the range would be. I'd have to spend more time looking at what would do for that. Question 20. Yeah, then you're just gonna have to use your find the exact value of the expression used to provide find cos of a minus b. Yeah, you got to use the difference formula. So, or I can't really actually read what you're doing for question number 20. Sorry. You're going to have to use the difference formula between those two. I'm assuming that's what that problem is. So that is actually a fairly common problem. But you have to draw the two triangles, and then, yeah, you're going to have to do this. Yeah, actually, I can set that one up. I'm pretty sure, almost positive that's what you need to do. So you're, come on, go over. All right. Almost ready. Yes, I did take statistics, but it was in college, and that was about it. I didn't take it like a Form 1 in high school. Yeah, they don't have to be. I'll go through that problem. Can I do number 1? Thank you. I'll try to do my best. Yeah, that's one you already sent me, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got you. Connor. Just submitting 2 questions. All right, no more questions being submitted in, but let's go through what we got here. All right, I'm gonna try to do these as quickly as possible, guys. Because I'm supposed to end these streams at end the streams at 10 p.m. But you guys getting me. All right, in this one, you know what? What I would probably do is, if this is gonna be a one identity, I would just try to think about how can I like combine these together. So what I would do is I would just rewrite this as a 1 over cosine of theta. Again, I'm not sure if this is correct, so I'm just trying some things. 1 over sine of theta divided by a tangent of theta over 1 plus 1, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply by a sine of theta over a sine of theta. Multiply by cosine of theta over a cosine of theta. That's not going to help, is it? 1 over cosine plus 1 over sine. I don't know what that would do. I don't think that's going to do anything. Why don't we... Why did I write that? Cosine of theta plus 1 over sine of theta. It's nothing that like immediately... Oh, let's just write that as a sine over cosine. How about that? Nothing like jumps out to me as like something to be able to get something done. Yeah, I was just thinking about that because, I mean, obviously if you're trying to get that as be as 1, and then you could write it as a rational expression and then multiply by the reciprocal. But because you got to be able to let's just try to do it. Forget it. Why don't we just do it and see what happens? So actually, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to write not tangent. I want to write a sine over cosine. So I'm writing everything in sines and cosines, right? Let's just try it. I mean, why be scared? Right? So what I'm doing is, one of the tips that you always want to remember is you can always write things in terms of sines and cosines. Now, if you want this to be one identity, right, you're going to have to combine your numerator and denominator. So I'm going to multiply this by cosine of theta over a cosine of theta. Okay, so then what I'll get is a sine of theta over is a sine of theta cosine of theta. And that's really plus cosine, right? Because you can add the numerators, like sine of theta plus times 1 is like sine of theta plus cosine of theta. Okay, and that's going to be all divided by, yep, that's going to work. I think sine of theta plus cosine of theta. And that's going to be all over a cosine. Okay. Then I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, cosine of theta over sine of theta plus a cosine of theta. Cosine of theta over sine of theta plus a cosine of theta. Okay, so those are going to divide out. Those are going to divide out. The cosines are going to divide out. Those are going to divide out, and you're going to be left with a 1 over a sine of theta, which is going to be cosecant. So yeah, good job. I'm assuming this one's factoring. I don't see... Well, thank you. You're very welcome, Marlene. So in this one, basically what I would like to do is just remember, guys, whenever you're factoring something, like a quadratic can be broken down into a product of two factors, right? Okay, so the first two terms are going to be 2y and a y. Now we need to figure out what two numbers multiply to give us -3. But then again, like my outer and my inner are going to add to give me -5y. Now I already know that 2y times -3, or 2 times -3 would give me -6, right? So I automatically kind of see then that's going to be a positive 1. And that's going to work. And again, like just check, it's kind of hard to like visualize this, but the way that I look at this is like the first two terms always are going to give me this, right? And the last two terms are always going to give me my last term. So that gives me that, and that gives me that. Now the sum of these two products needs to add to give me -5y. And I knew if I got to 6, I need to get only down to, if I got to a -6, I only needed to add a 1, which has been 1 times y, to give me -5. So it just takes a lot of practice. It really does. I mean, there's a lot of tricks. There's a lot of ways to do factoring slowly, but I'm not a big proponent of them because I've seen them in students, and what it does, it just slows them down. They don't understand how to do it, and they just take forever to do any problems with factoring. So here, just like I did up in this problem, right? Notice how I multiply by the reciprocal. That's all you got to do here, guys. It's just a fraction divided by a fraction. So divide by the reciprocal. Okay, and really nothing can be simplified. So 4 times x minus 1 all over a 3 times x plus 2. Okay, now if we were going to write our restrictions, right? So such that x cannot equal a -2 and x cannot equal a +1. So that was a denominator there, and -2 is a restriction on the domain there. So if you had to write your restrictions, you could add those two, but yeah, there's really nothing much we could really write there. Use the discriminant. So just remember, guys, when we have the discriminant, that's basically going to be what's under your quadratic, what's under the radicand in quadratic form. So b squared minus a 4 times a times c. Okay. So if it's 0, you have 1 real solution. If it's a square number, you have 2 real rational solutions or roots. And if it is not a square, If it's not a square positive number, then you have two irrational solutions. And if it's negative, then you have two complex solutions. So what we're going to do is, remember, this all comes from a squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so b is going to be my 7. So 7 squared minus a 4 times 3 times c, which is 4. Okay, so 7 squared is 49. Minus 4 times 3 is going to be a 12. Times 4, 28 is going to be a 48. Okay, so therefore that's going to equal 1, which is a square number. So you're going to have 2 real rational roots. Voila. All right. So the main thing to know about this is y equals a 3 to the x. Like, what does that graph look like? So that graph looks like that. Okay. And it has a y-intercept of 0, 1. All right. Now, when you multiply, so now we need to know all of the transformations. There's a lot of transformations that are going on. So we have a negative on the outside. That's going to reflect it about the y-axis. So now this graph is now pointing down. Okay. It's being vertically stretched by 2. So instead of it having a y-intercept at 1, now it has a y-intercept of 2. Okay. It's being shifted 5 units to the right and 6 units up. Okay. So let's go through this. So we started at 1, 0. Then we got reflected. So we're at 0, -1. Then it got stretched to 0, -2. And now it's being shifted 5 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My eyes are hurting staring at that. And then up 6 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, cool. Now, that's just going to be the old y-intercept, okay? Now, to find the kind of asymptote, what's important to kind of understand is, remember, that is, that was at 0, and then it just got shifted up 6 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, yeah. Okay, and so the graph is going to look something like that. Okay, just important for you to kind of understand how that works. Now, to find the y-intercept, I'm not going to go through this, but for the y-intercept, all you're going to do is plug x is equal to 0. So plug 0 in for x, and then go ahead and evaluate what that value is. It is not increasing at all. It's decreasing on the whole domain. So that's going to be from -infinity to positive infinity. It is 1 to 1. It passes the horizontal. It does pass the horizontal line test. There is no vertical asymptote. There is a horizontal asymptote. That's at y is equal to a 6. So that's from -infinity to infinity. And I guess it was a growth function, but then with the reflection, it's now a decay function. So to find the x-intercept, by the way, so x-intercept is when y is equal to 0. So again, you're going to have to do some math from on there. And your HK is going to be a 5, 5, 6. That's going to be your kind of shift transformations. Okay, and this is going to be a minus b. So you need to know the formula. So if I say cosine of a minus b, then that's going to be equal to the cosine of a times the cosine of b plus the sine of a times the sine of b. Okay, that's how you find it. Don't need the unit circle. You just need that. So what do we have? So it says the cosine of a is equal to a 12 over a 13. Okay, well, cool. So that's a 12 over 13. Well, what does that look like? Remember, a is, or cosine of an angle is adjacent over hypotenuse. So let's draw it. Now, again, that's in quadrant 2, right? So if we were to draw that triangle in quadrant 2, it's going to look something like this. So adjacent is 12, right? And again, that's a -12 because it's in quadrant 2. So you're going to the left. Your hypotenuse is 13, and your opposite side then is going to be a positive 5. Then we have the cosine of b, or sine of b. Sine? I think that's sine. I can't really tell. I'll go with sine. So sine of b is equal to a 15 over a 17, which I forget that Pythagorean triple. I recognize it. 17 squared minus 225. It's going to be an 8. Okay. So, and that's going to be in what? In quadrant 2 as well. Okay. So that one, also in quadrant 2, is going to be opposite 15 over hypotenuse. And then this is going to be an 8, right? Just knowing the Pythagorean triples. Or you, like, if you don't know them, you know, use the Pythagorean theorem, right, to find your missing sides. Okay. So this is for A. And this is for angle B. Okay, well, here, to find cosine of A minus B, you just got to plug in cosine of A, cosine of B, sine of A, sine of B. Well, we already know all those, right? So equal to cosine of A, right, which is 5 over 13, or sorry, it's negative 12 over 13. Cosine of B, which is going to be negative 8 over 17, plus a sine of A, 5 over 13, and then times a sine of B, which is 15 over 17. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply. So 12 times 8 is a 96, and 13 times 17 is a 221. Plus 5 times 15, so that's going to be 460, so that's what, 75, right? My brain hurts, yes. Over a 221, and so that equals a 96 plus 75 is going to be a 171. 171 or 225, 221. There you go. No unit circle involved. All right, guys. I hope you have a great week. If you're taking an exam, you got this. Relax, breathe. Just breathe. Relax. You got this. If you've already taken your exams or you've graduated, congratulations, and enjoy your summer. But I look forward to answering your guys' questions next week as well. So hopefully you guys have a great week. Best of luck, and I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.